Shalom, everybody. Rabbi Edelstein here, wishing you a happy Passover, Chag Sameach. And I'm back with a bit of Torah inspiration sponsored by MEOR DC. MEORDC.com is our website. Check it out and learn about the programs we offer. Well, the Seder nights are behind us with all the matzah and the mortar eaten in a short time span. It was beautiful, but Passover is far from over. And we have to remind ourselves it's an 8-day holiday in the diaspora, and there's plenty of time left to avail ourselves of the special spiritual energy of this time of the year. Remember, as we said before in an earlier broadcast, the rabbis call Pesach Zman Cherusenu, the time of our freedom. And it doesn't just mean the physical exodus from Egypt, but it means that at this time every year we have a spiritual opportunity to elevate ourselves and free ourselves profoundly from the shackles, the shackles that keep us from connecting spiritually to God. It's a time of year to reinforce basic emunah, basic faith in God, in His divine providence, and in the fact that He chose us to be a holy people unto Him and a light unto the nations. So it's a special time left. And in fact, the seventh day of Passover, Shvi Shel Pesach, has a unique identity because it is the reliving of the splitting of the sea. It was 7 days after we left Egypt that when Pharaoh's armies were behind us and we had nowhere to go, and God said to tell Moses, to tell the Jewish people to start walking into the water, it happened, the incredible miracles and the wonders of the splitting of the sea and the destruction of Pharaoh's armies, followed by the ecstatic song of joy and dedication known as Shirat Hayam, that we actually, it's in the book of Exodus, but we say it every day in our morning prayers in the Shacharit service. So the end of Pesach, I don't want to say, the best is yet to come. There's a lot still to come. I want to tell you about one of the beautiful verses, or part of the verses, in that ecstatic song at the sea. It's a famous verse. Ze Eli v'anvehu. This is my God, and I will do something to him, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, this is my God. The rabbis tell us that the clarity of the prophetic experience that every Jewish person had at the sea, even the least spiritually elevated, was on a higher level than Ezekiel the prophet. They saw the Shekhinah, the divine presence, with such clarity. It was as if they could point to God, to the Shekhinah with their finger and say, this is my God. And then they said, V'anvehu, and I will make a habitation for him, beautify him, make myself like him. What am I talking about? The word V'anvehu has many meanings wrapped up into it, our rabbis tell us. 3 I just mentioned quickly, and I'll go over them now. Anvehu, I will make a habitation for God. The Jewish people were taking that inspiration they felt and pledging to build a temple, a Beit HaMikdash, one day for God that would be the focus of our spiritual life and of and a means to connect to God profoundly in this physical world. V'anvehu, a second meaning, the rabbis tell us, I will make him beautiful, because anvehu is related to the word for beauty. In other words, I will speak of God's wonders and glory to other people, to mankind. I'll take that inspiration I had at the sea, or we have at the sea, and we will use it to inspire us to speak of God's beauty and God's wonders. And finally, and perhaps the deepest understanding, V'anvehu ani vohu, I and he. This is my God, and I will try to make myself like him. I will try to embody the qualities of God's compassion and God's patience and all of the beautiful divine attributes. I will try to make myself a vessel to reflect God's goodness and God's blessing in this world. So that's a fitting, I think, lesson for the end of Pesach, that all the inspiration of this holiday, especially, or at least including the 7th day of Pesach and the 8th day of Pesach, the reliving of the splitting of the sea, we take that inspiration, the clarity of the faith that we're experiencing again in Pesach, and pledge to speak of God's beauty and to make ourselves into beautiful people, into people that reflect the values of the Torah and the values of godliness in this world. Have a wonderful rest of the Pesach holiday.